Hi, I'm Jerry Bovey, Director of Athletics here at Weber State University, and I want to be the first to welcome you to campus for the beginning of the 2018-2019 school year. There are many amazing things that you're about to experience as a student athlete here at Weber State. And among the many great things, one thing that I am really happy about and that we pride ourselves on is a strong commitment and culture to compliance. Not only to the rules of Weber State University, but also the NCAA and the Big Sky Conference. You're about to go through a process to learn some of those things, and for those of you that are returning to the program, this should be nothing more than a refresher on what those rules are. For those of you joining us for the first time, you'll walk away from this experience with a much better understanding of what's expected of you as a student athlete here at Weber State University.
The most important of all the NCAA's rules is the rule on ethical conduct. The NCAA requires all of us who are associated with intercollegiate athletics to act with honesty, integrity, and sportsmanship at all times. This applies to behavior on the court and fields of competition and in our academic pursuits. As a student athlete, you are required to provide accurate and complete information that is relevant to an NCAA investigation if one occurs. Additionally, the NCAA and Weber State University require that you complete all of your academic work yourself. You may receive permissible help from tutors, but what is turned in must be your own work and effort. Failure to do this can result in a finding of academic misconduct and can affect your eligibility to compete on the field or on the court. Please uphold the highest standards of the NCAA, Weber State University, and your mother's expectations when it comes to ethical conduct.
The NCAA requires that you meet certain academic requirements to be eligible to compete in your sport. You have to be enrolled full-time, which is at least 12 credits for undergraduates and at least 9 credits for graduate students. Additionally, you must pass 6 degree applicable credits each semester. You must pass 18 degree applicable credits combined in the fall and spring semesters. After your first year, you must pass 24 credits. Thereafter, you have to meet percentage of degree requirements, meaning that after your second year, at least 40% of your degree must be completed. After your third year, at least 60% of your degree must be completed. After your fourth year, at least 80% of your degree must be completed. And you must also satisfy GPA requirements and remain in good standing. Members of the football team must also pass 9 degree applicable credits each fall semester. Make sure that you speak with your academic advisor with questions you have about your academic eligibility and if you want to make changes to your course schedule.
Amateurism is one of the core pillars that makes the NCAA what it is. It states that student athletes cannot receive compensation for their athletic abilities. You are not eligible for participation in a sport if you have ever accepted pay or the promise of pay for competing in your sport, agreed either orally or in writing to compete in professional athletics in that sport, played on any professional athletics team, used your athletic skill for pay in any form in your sport, or entered into an agreement with an agent for current or future representation. Rules related to agents must be followed by the student athletes as well as your relatives and friends. You will lose your eligibility if your relatives or friends accept money, transportation, lodging, entertainment, or other benefits from an agent. They can also compromise your eligibility by negotiating with agents on your behalf. If you have a job, the NCAA requires that you are paid the going rate for your work, along with getting paid only for work that is actually performed. The NCAA allows you to receive compensation for teaching your sport on a fee-for-lesson basis, provided that institutional facilities are not used, you do not advertise the availability of your services, you do not provide a playing lesson, you do not receive payment from someone other than the recipient or the recipient's family, and the appropriate compliance paperwork is completed. One final topic related to amateurism that is increasingly becoming an issue for student athletes is the use of crowdfunding websites such as GoFundMe. Generally, student athletes cannot use their name, picture, or athletics representation in connection with the crowdfunding campaigns like GoFundMe, because GoFundMe and similar websites are commercial entities. If you have a situation arise where you'd like to create a GoFundMe campaign, speak to the compliance staff.
Athletic scholarships are generally one-year agreements. During the period of the award, a scholarship can be canceled or reduced only for the reasons stated on your scholarship. Those reasons include rendering yourself ineligible, violating team rules, or violating the student-athlete code of conduct. As student-athlete, you can receive aid from only permissible sources. Those include Weber State Athletics, Weber State's academic and departmental scholarships, federal financial aid such as Pell Grants and student loans, aid from anyone on whom you are naturally or legally dependent, such as parents or legal guardians, and you can also receive permissible outside scholarships provided that they meet NCAA requirements. Also in the realm of financial aid is the NCAA Special Assistance Fund. This is money provided to each member institution to benefit student athletes. Weber State uses its SAF on SAC programming, emergencies and hardships like the cost for a flight to attend the funeral of a family member, academic services, summer school, 5th and 6th year aid, or graduate school placement exams. If you take the GMAT, GRE, LSAT, or MCAT, or any other graduate school exam, we will reimburse the cost of one test one time during your student-athlete career.
Rule. Student athletes have 5 calendar years to use up to 4 seasons of competition in a sport. The 5-year clock starts when you first enroll as a full-time student at any college or university. The clock continuously runs until the end of your 5-year eligibility period is completed. There are exceptions to this, such as service on an official church mission or active duty military service. It's important to know that, except in exhibition games and informal practice scrimmages, any amount of competition in a season triggers the use of one of your 4 seasons of competition. Except in football, participating in one play of one game counts the same as playing every minute of every game for this rule. In football, student athletes can now participate in up to 4 games in a season without using a season of competition. Not competing at all in any contest means that you've redshirted. The 5-year rule allows for 1 redshirt season. A medical hardship, commonly known as a medical redshirt, occurs when you compete during a season but then become injured or ill to the point where you can no longer continue to play. We can apply for a medical hardship to restore that season of competition if you suffered an incapacitating injury or illness, did not compete in more than 30% of your team's season, and did not compete past the halfway point of your team's season. Multiple seasons lost to circumstances outside your control, such as 2 medical hardships or a forced redshirt in your first year, and a later medical hardship can qualify you for an extension of the 5-year eligibility period.
As student athletes, you're subject to both the NCAA's and Weber State's drug testing programs. Both the NCAA and Weber State have drug testing policies that must be followed if you want to maintain your eligibility to compete. You're required to show up for all drug tests. Failure to appear for a test is treated the same as producing a positive test. The penalty for a failed NCAA drug test is typically loss of one of your 4 seasons of competition and a suspension from competition for at least 1 calendar year. Your athletic scholarship can be canceled or reduced if you fail an NCAA drug test. Failing a second NCAA drug test typically leaves you permanently ineligible in all sports. Please be careful with what you put in your bodies at all times. Even drugs that you wouldn't normally think of as a problem can lead to a positive test. For example, asthma and ADHD medications are considered banned substances without a valid prescription. It's also important to pay attention to what supplements you're taking. The supplement market is not strictly regulated, so make sure to contact the athletic training staff before you begin to take a new supplement.
During the academic year, except in limited circumstances, student athletes may not participate on any outside team in any non-collegiate amateur competition. Some exceptions that may be available are participating in intramurals, competition outside of declared playing and practice season during any official vacation period, or individual unattached competition while not wearing your Weber State uniform. Don't receive expenses from Weber State and don't receive instruction from your coach. If you competed on a team this past summer, your participation must stop when your team's practice begins. For any questions, as always, make sure to stop by the compliance office.
When your team is in season, student athletes cannot practice for more than 20 hours in a week and no more than 4 hours in a day. Competition days count as 3 hours regardless of how long the competition takes, and coaches are required to provide 1 day off per week. When teams are out of season, CARA rules change. Student athletes cannot practice more than 8 hours a week. In all sports except football, no more than 4 of these hours may be devoted to skill instruction, and the rest of the hours must be spent doing strength and conditioning activities. In football, skill instruction is not permitted, but you are permitted to do up to 2 hours of film review each week. When you are out of season, coaches must also provide 2 days off per week. This table shows what kinds of activities are accountable and what kinds are not. Coaches are required to report your weekly hours to compliance. You have the chance to verify all CARA logs through Jump Forward, so make sure you are checking your emails. Your coaches cannot see your responses to the logs that are submitted, and verifying logs is the only way we can verify that you are not exceeding the 20 or 8 hours you're allowed in a week.
As a student athlete, you cannot accept anything that is not available to the general student body or the general public. Extra benefit rules apply to yourself as well as to your friends and family. Some examples of extra benefits include free or reduced cost transportation, lodging, training expenses, food, clothing, and financial loans. As a simple rule of thumb, you cannot accept any discount that isn't available to the general public. As a student athlete at Weber State, you may receive complimentary admissions for games in which you participate. These tickets are for your family and friends. It is impermissible for you to sell or receive an item of value for a spot on this pass list. This rule also applies to the people you include on the pass list. It's not all bad news though. The NCAA does allow you to accept benefits that are not available to all Weber State students or to the general public. These benefits include academic expenses, career development resources, health care, travel to represent Weber State, including the receipt of the frequent flyer miles or points for those trips, meals and snacks, including the refueling station housed at the Stadium House.
Everyone has social media, but it's important to remember what is permissible and impermissible to post. First, use common sense. Assume all posts are public and don't post anything you wouldn't want your family to see. The NCAA prohibits posting information about injuries and PSA recruitment. Student athletes cannot publicize a prospect's recruitment, visit to campus, or their commitment to Weber State University.
The NCAA prohibits student athletes and staff members from engaging in sports wagering. Violations occur when you agree to give up an item of value for the chance to win an item of value. This most commonly includes money, but can also include betting things like meals, clothing, etc. The NCAA's prohibition on sports wagering applies to any level of any sport in which the NCAA conducts a championship. This includes high school, college, and professional events. Engaging in sports wagering activities will make you ineligible immediately. Some examples of impermissible betting can include fantasy leagues, Super Bowl pools, and NCAA tournament pools. If a student athlete is caught point shaving or gambling on Weber State athletics events, you are permanently ineligible. Sports wagering is one of the quickest ways to lose your eligibility. Please note that recent changes to laws regarding sports wagering have not affected the NCAA's ban on sports wagering. Remember to be smart about what you do in your free time, and always remember, don't bet on it.
So that's a brief introduction to the rules of the NCAA, the Big Sky Conference, and Weber State University. I hope you've learned a thing or two that will make your transition here much more successful. As always, our staff is here to assist you. You can stop by and see Will Pridemore and his staff in compliance at any time, or feel free to stop by and see me here in the athletics offices on the second floor at Stewart Stadium. I'm wishing you the best for a great year. Be safe, be a good representative of Weber State, and enjoy yourselves. And good luck this year. And go Wildcats!